Relic Destinies, Geist of St. Traft's Invisible Stalkers. This is an upgraded version. Now it has basically the same creature base, but now it has Brainstorm, Daze, Spell Pierce to try to shove the damage through.
Now, if you remember, we were talking earlier this weekend about Geist of St. Traft and how Geist really often couldn't attack in this format because it simply would just get blocked by someone. Well, Spectraflight kind of solves that problem.
Spectraflight solves that problem a lot, especially in this matchup. It'll be mostly a race, as there is a creature in this matchup that can block it. It's Emrakul, the Aeon's Torn, coming out of a sneak attack. But it probably won't be happening. We'll be seeing basically the two decks will be going toe-to-toe for speed against each other here. The sneak attack deck packing 4 Force of Will, 2 Misdirection, 2 Daze, and that is it as far as counter magic is. 2 Spell Snares where counter magic is concerned. So both players shuffling up. We have seen neither of these decks on the way to the top 8. Both managed to get in the very last round with win and ins.
Yeah, I definitely like the more, I would say, conventional deck here. Sneak and Show is definitely the deck I prefer in this matchup. And now, the question of whether or not Phillip Contreras has come across something that might make Geist of St. Traft really worth playing, we're about to find out.
Right. In this matchup, Geist of St. Traft is probably a very excellent 3-drop as far as 3-drops are concerned. It's basically a 6/6 for 3 in this matchup, as Richard Centanni is really not going to interact with it too much or block it. So what we haven't, so we do have a raising situation, but Phillip Contreras with his Bant Hexproof deck is actually probably the slower deck here by somewhere between around a turn. So he's going to have to rely a little bit on his counter spells to pull him through. Richard Centanni can win, or pretty much win as early as turn 2. He's playing 4 Ancient Tombs, 3 City of Traders, a tip very much like a show and tell deck at the core of it.
And by win on turn 2, that might not actually be a win. It might just be cripple your opponent on turn 2 and make them almost dead.
Make them almost dead. So more like, yes. It's probably not an actual win on turn 2, but he has the ability to, whereas Phillip's deck is trying to probably win on turn 4 at the earliest. Turn 2 is when we want to see Richard's deck. Richard's deck is turn 2 and 3 will be very important. So Phillip Contreras winning the die roll. Leading off probably on one of his 1-mana creatures. He's going to try to stick on his 8 Hexproof creatures are all 3-drops. It's 4 Troll Ascetic, 4 Geist of St. Traft. Though in this matchup, the interesting thing is that the Hexproof part, not very relevant. He can probably throw his enchantments on any creature that he can find. Basically, Richard, because he's playing as a combo deck, Phillip's deck, which is usually supposed to be very non-interactive, really just an aggro deck in this matchup.
I mean, there is Jace. Jace is able to bounce a creature.
Jace is definitely able to bounce a creature, so he'll still try to prefer to put it on Hexproof creatures.
Absolutely.
Leads off on Noble Hierarch. Richard Centanni. Scalding Tarn. Looking at his hand there, we definitely see 1 15/15 in his hand. Possibly decides to crack his fetch land. And he's going to lead on Volcanic Island. So if you're Phillip Contreras, how do you feel about Troll Ascetic in this matchup when there's nothing to, essentially is just it's a 3-power 3-drop, isn't it?
Well, I mean, it's only a 3-power 3-drop, but the fact that it has so few other creatures to beat down with, I think you just kind of have to accept that.
Right. A lot of its creatures are really, we're looking at. I think Geist of St. Traft has got to be by far the most exciting card for Phillip in this match. It really gives him the power to possibly race Richard Centanni. So Phillip, no 3-drop right now, so he's going to Brainstorm here, main phase. Maybe he could make a Kasali Pride Mage is the only 2-drop he has. Otherwise, more mana creatures. Knowing he's the control deck, he's probably going to try to load up a little more in cards like the Daze, which he has off this Brainstorm.
We see a Bird of Paradise looking like it's going to go away.
Bird of Paradise goes back to the top of the deck.
I can't see what the other one he's putting back.
I don't think there is another one yet. He's working on it. Once again, without a shuffle effect.
Wasteland.
Juicy Wasteland.
The Volcanic if he wants it. I don't mind it.
No, not at all. It gives him. What it does do is it doesn't give him a shuffle, but I don't believe he has a shuffle anyway. So
I might have liked to have kept the bird if he wastelands, though. And then cast a bird if I still had it. 2 dazes are not as useful.
Well, he does have 1 damage of an attacker. Also a Kasali Pride Mage is his only other creature. Passing the turn, opting not to attack.
That does mean he has access to Spell Pierce. And
an Ancient Tomb from Richard Centanni. So at this point, Phillip has to be on notice that Show and Tell could be coming down, though he has 2 dazes, I believe. So
fetch with the Misty Rainforest.
Fetches out Tundra. So Phillip really is going to need to stick an early threat. I don't think, if the game goes long enough, Richard will get to resolve one of his ways to cheat Emrakul out.
There's a Kasali Pride Mage.
And definitely still
and
representing
another
Spell
pass,
Pierce.
still leaving open the access to potential Spell Pierce. It almost makes me feel like he doesn't have a Spell Pierce. Does he have one?
I haven't seen one yet. We've seen a smattering of blue cards. He does at least have a daze.
Force of Will.
Force
Is
of
this
Will
like
on
a
the Pride Mage?
very late Force of Will on the Pride Mage?
You know, the Force of Will makes sense. If Richard's hand has a sneak attack in it, I think he's trying to clear an out for sneak attack. It's not going to get around 2 days. Is Richard actually having no other land right now? So it's just the Ancient Tomb. This time playing Brainstorm.
There we see a Spectral Flight.
Spectral Flight, pretty much what he's looking for in the sense that he just wanting to get a really quality clock down. He's going to need to continue to leave up his mana. So even with a Spectral Flight, he may cast it this turn and opts not to attack with Noble Hierarch. Which is, I think, looks like
exactly what he does. Well, he's cast the Spectral Flight. You can't take that back.
Yeah, but he's thinking about attacking with it. Richard missed his last land drop, so maybe he's looking for proof that Richard really can do something right now.
He's got 2 dazes in hand, I believe.
Yeah, I'd feel pretty safe in the situation. City of Traders. Now, I'm not sure if I like casting playing City of Traders there.
He lays 1 Noble Hierarch. He lays 2 Noble Hierarch.
Noble Hierarch, swinging for 5.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Now, what do you think is the reason behind playing the City of Traders here? Because if all his spells cost colored mana, is City of Traders actually doing anything for him right now? Richard down to 5.
It lets him play around double days against the Show and Tell? Not very much, no.
And Richard, basically.
Oh, look at Richard.
One wasteland, all that decides the first game.
And so we've got the first game down. There's also going to be another game winner out there in the universe. I'm Adrian Sullivan here. I'm joined in the booth by Matthias Hunt. And this is the Star City Games live coverage of our Legacy Open. We're in the quarterfinals. One of the things that we do during every one of these events is we give away some awesome prizes. 3 months of premium are going to be given away to our quarterfinal winner of a trivia contest. 6 months will be given to our semifinal winner, and a Gen Con badge will be given away in the finals.
Right.
And this Gen Con badge, awesome prize. We're starting out with a good prize.
Stay around for the finals. They just keep getting better.
It's true. Now, in order to get this prize, what you need to do is tweet to SCG Premium. And SCG Premium, you can see it right there. That is the hashtag you want to use to get your prize. And so we'll ask a trivia question. Amongst those players who successfully name the answer to this question, you will get
3 months. First time. 3 months Star City Premium.
3 months of Star City Games Premium. Okay, so the premium question that we're going to be asking for this is very simple. There is one tribal deck in our top 8. What surprising Force of Will-like card is this player main decking in his top 8 Goblins list? What Force of Will-like card is this Goblins player main decking in his top 8 list? If you answer this question, SCG Premium is the
3
hashtag.
months. Yep.
One person that gets this correct,
We'll get 3 months of premium.
3 free months
See
of
it?
premium. Now, talking about our match that's currently underway,
Yeah. Right.
sideboarding, if you are Richard Centanni, you just got attacked by Noble Hierarch with Spectre Flight. Now remember, you've seen your opponent's deck list. Both these people have seen the deck lists. What do you say that you're going to bring in? If it's me, I'm probably going to make sure to bring in Red Elemental Blast to begin with. It's just a catch-all for the blue spells for my opponent.
Yeah, when Richard Phillip's deck is attacking without the auras on it, the creatures aren't too threatening, so probably Red Elemental Blast is a decent card here.
I don't know if I see anything else that I think is particularly useful. Blood Moon could be okay. It might shut down. There's a fair number of basics, though.
2 forest, 2 island.
And fetches to get those, and...
Right, so, I mean, if he wants another early play, I guess Blood Moon could really come in. Blood Moon might seem fair, especially on the play where he thinks he could stick a turn 2 Blood Moon. Otherwise, the main deck of Richard Centanni is still very strong here. Resolving an early threat is excellent in the matchup, and he doesn't want to knock down his percentage of getting an early threat too much. So
absolutely. On the other side of the table, Chill. Is Chill any good? I mean, it hurts the sneak attack. Does it do anything else? Is it too weak otherwise?
Chill just for red spells.
I think it's too weak.
It's too. It's a little situational. I probably wouldn't do it.
I do like the one Gaddock Teague.
It's one Gaddock Teague. Other than that, I don't see much to cite. And he has a Path to Exiles, GTAs, Submerge, Mindbreak Trap. None of those I'd really like to play.
Okay, so I would say bring in the one Gaddock Teague, take out something, and then just play it straight up.
Yeah, both of them really not able to answer the other person's strategy very well. So for the most part, we'll see the game 1 strategies crashing into each other again here. Richard down 1. Keeping on that, so one of the things, what Richard risked in that last play, and what possibly might have been a game changer, is if you remember on turn 1, he cracked a fetch land into a volcanic island and pondered. Now, had he not, one of the reasons about cracking fetch lands in this format, especially off a deck with many colorless mana sources, is he then ended up losing the game to Wasteland. It makes you wonder, if he doesn't play the ponder and simply leaves the fetch land up, he does get access to 3 mana and possibly a show and tell even. At the point, Phillip did have a daze, so it may not have worked, but it would have given certainly Richard a lot more of a game, I think, at that point. So Richard on the play. I think both of them still shuffling.
Now, we both called this one for Sneak and Tell, or sorry, Sneak and Show.
Right.
And that was a pretty quick win from Phillip, and he, at pretty much all moments in the game, had dazes available to keep Richard from doing anything truly threatening. And Richard obviously was a little bit stuck on mana, helped out by Wasteland, of course, but still, are you rethinking your prediction?
Well, what you have to remember is that Phillip was able to really out-mana his opponent. Richard also has dazes to protect combos. I think I still like Richard in this matchup. Now, granted, if I think Richard's a 2-to-1 favorite, then given it right now, that still only puts him at 44% to win the match. So, do I believe Richard's stronger than a 2-to-1 favorite? No, I'm not sure. So at that point, I guess if you were to ask me who I thought would win, I might go with Phillip, but I think in each individual game, Richard is still the favorite.
Okay, turn 2 for Phillip Contreras. He has a Noble Hierarch already, facing off against 2 lands from Richard Centanni. Are we going to see a Geist of Saint Traft here?
He has them in his hand. He has a Psionic Blast. Phillip opting to keep a hand without much pressure in it, or not much reaction. It has plenty of pressure, but no counter spells. He's going to, it appears, try to race Richard's deck. A dicey proposition. Richard has sided in the Blood Moons, though right now, not exactly.
Yeah, mana creature, basic.
Right.
Richard says go. Phillip Centanni able to potentially attack for 4, maybe more with a little bit of help.
Phillip able to attack for 4, I think. Yes, maybe more.
Wasteland not very effective yet. Shows it. I think we're going to see an attack for 4.
Right, probably accompanied by the Geist of Saint Traft. Basically, a challenge to Richard to say, well, if you're a combo deck, you're supposed to be able to turn 4 combo. Well, I'd like to see it.
Right. Brainstorm in response to this Geist of Saint Traft. 2 fetch lands to make the Brainstorm particularly good. A signature to make it especially cool looking.
So also, Phillip Contreras with Psionic Blast in his hand. So on his next swing, if we get a Geist of St. Trapped swinging, it now attacks for 8, regardless of whether Pride Mage or not swings. So Richard essentially at 4 life at this point. So probably he has a... Richard can take 1 attack, and then the next one will be lethal. And this is on end step, I believe, or he's upkeep. Probably Richard will search out a basic here. Yep, basic island. Not wanting to get wastelanded. These fetchland cracks won't really hurt him, as now the next attack Phillip can only put him down to 4 next turn, well now to 3, so Richard kind of has free reign to do what he wants with his mana. He still has his 1 insurance turn. Richard thinking here. Makes Volcanic Island. And looks like Show and Tell.
Show and Tell.
Well, what are each of them going to bring to Show and Tell? Imagine Richard brings something. Emrakul will be excellent here. Does Progenitus actually... I'm not sure Progenitus is enough at this point. I think it needs to be Emrakul. Phillip in his hand. It appears that Phillip has boarded in Mindbreak Trap, which unfortunately Sneak and Show doesn't really play 3 spells typically in a turn. So Mindbreak Trap is just a hard counter spell.
I think he's kind of wondering about a counterspell war.
Right.
But that seems very, very ambitious.
Yeah, it might. Yeah, that is definitely a little ambitious. And it is Emrakul.
Emrakul and a Noble Hierarch.
All right. So Phillip not able to do too much right here.
Well, I'm gonna lay down some permanents.
Sure. See how much damage we can do on the counterattack.
Not enough.
Not enough.
Yeah. This.
Well, let's see. If he does have a Psionic Blast, if he Psionic Blasts Richard, he'll put Richard at 11. Phillip can then swing with Kasali Pride Mage and Geist of St. Trapped, but that's still only 8 damage, so we are still looking at Richard being at 3 life.
Not enough.
Not 0, 3, so he's going to need... If he leaves up a land in his hand, he could hope to draw Land Unstable Mutation on that turn for the exact extra 3 damage. It's probably the only out I see for him to play toward.
This is one of the things. John Finkel talked about this in Mike Flores' premium article on Wednesday. It's that you need to learn how to become good at being in losing positions. Because you might be in a position where you're only going to win 5% of the time, but really good play might make it 7% of the time.
Step 1.
And sometimes those slivers happen.
Pretend that you're the luckiest person in the world, and then figure out what you need to do to make that, to reward yourself for that luck. All right. 6 permanents gone. He's going to, there we go, he's going to reach for the Psy Blast. I think...
Oh, that's a pretty Psy Blast, too.
Very nice one. Ooh, that does not work. Spell Snare, it does, yes. There we go, that's the correct one, Spell Pierce. He should pay for it, there's no reason not to.
No reason not to. Pay.
As long as Richard has another Spell Pierce, I think I like that play. Otherwise, I don't really like it. So Phillip hoping to draw Island Unstable Mutation for the counterattack. I don't know if he has the island, either half of it. If he doesn't, it's obviously not very possible to draw.
Okay, lose your permanents.
And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And now I am not sure. So Richard dropping down to 11. Phillip to 18. I don't know of a top deck that saves him here. And Spell Pierce is not the card.
That's not it.
So we will be...
He's just going to do the last 6 just to be like...
Yeah.
Why not?
And then does the 6 damage, then concedes the game. So going into game 3, we have here between Richard Centanni and Phillip Contreras.
Do you think that Phillip Contreras is reconsidering his Mindbreak trap?
It wasn't a much help to him there. It's still, you know, it is, if you think about it as just a 4-mana counter spell, is it, if you have enough Noble Hierarchs, I suppose that's not the worst. But it's certainly, I think he's probably thinking twice about it. It wasn't what he'd hoped for it to be.
And it looks as though Goblins has won the first game. Brett Paris against Luis Corso with Stoneblade. Goblins up game 1 in the other side of the brackets.
Remember, the winner, yeah, that's on the opposite side. So the winner of that will be playing the winner of Stoneblade and Storm. Possibly could, we both like Storm to win there. But, sure. All right. Okay. So on the other side, we have, yeah, so we could have, we could possibly, even though we like Storm, we both think there could possibly be maybe a Stoneblade mirror there, which certainly is quite the game. The winner of this, remember, playing the winner of Maverick and Agrolome. Actually, I think both these decks are fairly well positioned to play either of the opponents that could come from the other quarterfinal.
I think that's probably accurate.
Yeah, the other two decks are, we have an aggro deck and then an anti-aggro deck. Both these decks as combo decks have to like their chances if they win here of making the finals.
Are you calling Phillip's deck a combo deck?
You know, in a lot of ways, I think it plays out like a combo deck more than it plays out like an aggro deck. It's playing a hexproof creature. Its combo is hexproof creature plus aura, and its counter magic really is almost used more as an offense than as a defense. Its deck's not trying to answer what the opponent's doing.
This is an aggro control deck, I think, pretty classically.
Okay.
Really strong attacking possibilities. Minor counter magic just to control the tempo of the game.
I think that might be fair. Yeah, it's. I think, okay, I could get behind it being an aggro control deck. I suppose Psionic Blast really drives home that it's an aggro control deck.
When they're interested in controlling time like this, most definitely.
Yeah. So we have
Turn 1 Noble Hierarch, exactly what Phillip wants.
All right, Richard, very learning lesson, not cracking the fetch land.
Main phase Brainstorm.
Adrian's favorite kind.
It is.
And we see the Geist of St.
Traft.
Traft.
A Birds, a Forest, a Misty Rainforest, a blue spell that I cannot make out.
What matters is what kind of counter spells he has right now. I believe he has a Force of Will. No, he has another Brainstorm. He does not have a Force of Will.
Yeah, there are no Force of Wills in Phillip's deck.
You're right. Absolutely not. So, we see fetch land here. Probably he's hoping to represent to possibly Brainstorm again. I don't believe he has a 2-drop, so. Once again, the scariest part about Richard Centanni's deck is you could very easily, this turn, just see City of Traders Show and Tell. So, almost, you've been served notice that you might be comboed almost as soon as the game starts.
There's a Bird of Paradise, and I think he's going to pass. He attacks for 1, I believe, basically letting his opponent know no spell pierce here. I don't like that attack.
He does need to push damage, but the 1 point, I think the bluff is worth more than the 1 point there.
I think what I would probably do, depending on how I read my opponent, either just leave it open or make a move like I'm going to attack and then hold it back.
Right.
It depends on the level of expectation I have from my opponent.
The end-step Brainstorm.
Now, end-step Brainstorm is not the optimal use for Brainstorm, but when time is a consideration, sometimes you have to play a suboptimal Brainstorm.
Especially when your opponent gives you an opening like this. Well, he's very much tapped out. Richard would love to play a Show and Tell here. He'd love to have all the chances to draw that, even just to draw that 1 extra card. So all what Brainstorm does here is just sees 1 extra
I see a Show and Tell. I do not see
the Tomb or City of Traders. We're not sure if he has something good to bring to Show and Tell either.
I mean, I personally really like the information of the no spell pierce. However, there's another level that could be played at the really deep levels of Princess Bride style back and forth, where if you don't actually think that your opponent can do anything scary, then to do the attack like that, to say to them, I don't have it,
right,
when really you do.
Now, what's interesting, I actually noticed about Richard Centanni's list is he's a little bit of a slower sneak and show deck. A lot of the ones I have seen recently have been playing Lotus Petal.
Yeah, Grim Monolith is another one that you sometimes see.
Right. So instead he's running Jace the Mind Sculptor and Misdirection, which I think are the more unusual cards in his list.
This makes him more of a control deck, really.
Yeah.
You know, I have often argued that there is no such thing as a combo deck, and that all decks could be called combo decks. But that you can talk about them in other terms. Like, is this a control deck? What does it do? Well, it sort of stops things from happening.
And Richard, okay, sorry.
Here we go. Spell Pierce off the top. Did you know that
excellent
was
draw.
there? He did not.
No,
he fetched.
didn't. That
was a fresh Spell Pierce. How nice.
Going to summon the Geist of St. Traft.
I believe he has a Spell Pierce and a Daze. Ooh, Force of Will.
So now, and he's pitching Show and Tell. He's going to pierce it. Now, Richard's probably got to be okay with that. He's probably pitching Show and Tell. I imagine he has another Show and Tell. That might be fine to see it get Spell Pierced. It means that something more relevant's not getting Spell Pierced.
I mean, if you think about it, the damage that Geist represents is a 3-turn clock.
Right, so it does put... Now Phillip Phillip doesn't need to play any more spells here. He's given his opponent... actually, with 6, 7... All he needs is one Exalted Creature. He probably would like to find a Noble Hierarch here because it increases clock by a full turn if he can find a Hierarch or a Pride Mage.
End of turn Brainstorm gets dazed by the hard cast. It's a good chance to use it. Oh, is that a Spectral Flight?
And that will also makes it a two-turn clock.
He says no.
Buying himself an extra turn.
Never mind. That is not going to happen.
No. Richard has to be happy that he found a target for Spell Snare there.
Yes.
So Phillip Contreras basically just playing off what's on the board here.
So now he can swing for 7, knock Richard to 8, and then swing for 7 again. Richard still would be alive. Granted, there's lots of ways he can change the math.
Yeah. But if Richard does go to 1, remember that actually Emrakul no longer a good enough option for Show and Tell because Geist and the Angel, one of the two has to get through. So he's, I guess, while technically on the 3-turn clock, really it's going to play out more like a 2-turn clock.
Geist is such a monster when it's attacking.
Oh, right, especially when there's no creature to block it. Geist really is just a 6/6 for 3 with hexproof.
And he
sometimes
says go.
Better.
Richard says go.
Phillip
is going to come in for 7.
Come in for 7.
May I? Go to 1? Land, go. I think we're going to see a hand.
And Phillip's and all counter spells.
Oh, wow.
Show and Tell, but nothing to show.
We definitely got that wrong. Hex Bant moving forward.